So welcome to IL-SciComm. Just a couple of reminders before we get started. Like we've been saying, please turn on your camera. We'd love to see your face, see who we're talking to, and kind of stay connected that way. Also, and we've seen some people doing this already, let people know that you're here using the hashtag IL-SciComm on Twitter, and also sharing your Twitter handle in the chat window, just so that we can stay connected with each other. Before we get started, we'd like for you to take a few minutes to answer a couple of questions that can be found at that bit.ly web address, or I think Janine's going to throw that in the chat window as well. That just helps us making sure that what we are doing is effective. So that's 4 short questions here at the beginning for ourselves. So the goals of IL-SciComm are to foster a supportive statewide virtual professional learning network of science educators, and also to find new ideas, share the wonderful things happening in science education in the state of Illinois, and to spread the joy and wonder of science. So that's our common objectives for all of these events, and we're hoping to accomplish that again today. So welcome, I'm Jesse Semeyn, and we also have Janine Shepard. We are both science content specialists and the hosts of IL-SciComm each month. Our team of content specialists are employed by the Center for Educational Initiatives at Illinois State University, and we partner with ISBE to support science teachers in the state of Illinois. We also have other content specialists who support the other content areas. Also on the call today, we have Caitlin Walker, who is the principal consultant for the state board. Do you want to say hi, Caitlin, real quick? Oh, maybe not. Maybe we'll check in with her later. So a little housekeeping before we get started. Again, if you have not turned on your camera, we ask that you do so just so that we know who we're talking to. While we do encourage you to talk during these discussions, while our invited guests are talking, please put yourself on mute. That just eliminates background noise and distractions. If there is background noise or feedback from the call, we may mute you, so don't be offended if you lose your ability to speak at some point. Just unmute yourself so that you're able to talk. Oh, Caitlin does have a microphone. She just checked in. In the chat window. To be able to see everyone, you can choose the gallery view to see everybody who's participating. Also, it's helpful to rename yourselves to reflect who you are. So to do that, just hover your mouse over the video of yourself and click on the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. While our invited guests talk, we'll have our invited guests talk first and then leave it open for questions after that. Participants. A quick disclaimer before we start: any discussion here is not an endorsement by ISBE or ISU. We are only providing a platform to share ideas and resources. So for today's event, kind of have 3 things. So the first is we're going to tell you about a statewide book study that'll be starting this fall. That we're going to get an update for some opportunities from ISTA, from Kristin Rademaker. And last, Ben Whitehouse will be sharing information about climate change curricula and the SkyDay event coming up in September. Let me just switch my screens here.
I'm really excited about this first event Jesse's going to share with us.
Nice. Well, funny you should say. I'm just fighting with technology at this point. So first we wanted to tell you about an Illinois Science Educator book club that'll be starting this fall. So as part of the book club, we're going to read the Natural Research National Research Council's book, Ready, Set, Science, with science educators from across the state of Illinois. So the book itself, Ready, Set, Science, is a combination of research into how students learn science, and then it combines that with case studies that illustrates that research and its implications to the classrooms. It's an interesting combination of the research itself and then how that manifests itself in actual classrooms. As I've been reading through the book, I think one of the things that stands out to me is that this summary of research predates our next generation science standards. And you can see a lot of the research behind some of the elements in the next generation science standards and how that's based in research. So we could see examples of our science and engineering practices and our cross-cutting concepts, and then how they're used in the classroom, our learning progressions, and how those are embedded in our DCIs, along with the idea of fostering discourse between students and encouraging students to use evidence. So for the book club itself, we're planning on meeting virtually using Zoom like we are today. And that would start on September 25th, and then we would meet every other Wednesday after that. So we'd meet every other Wednesday from September 25th to November 20th. Between chats, we also hope to use Twitter to keep the discussion going, and also to share or get a glimpse of some of the science learning going on in districts and classrooms around the state. So using social media to be able to do that. Participants will have the option of earning 3 professional development hours through participation and written reflection. So if you go to the website that it shows at the bottom of the screen there, so scienceclassroomsinaction.org, you can find out some more information, and also you can register for the book club there. The first 25 people to register will receive a free paperback copy of the book mailed to them. Otherwise, you can download the book for free as a PDF through the National Academies Press. We are encouraging people to register by September 17th so that we can make sure that we get the books in your hands before that first virtual meeting. So that's our upcoming book club for this fall. And unless there are any questions, I'm going to turn it over to Kristin to tell us more about some other upcoming opportunities.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristin Rademaker. I'm the president-elect for the Illinois Science Teaching Association. And just a couple of things that we have coming up. We are currently taking applications for our upcoming election. So if any of you are interested in running for an ISTA office, you can go to our website that I will shoot in the text box, or maybe if Nicole, you want to shoot that in the text box. She's also on the board of directors for the ISTA. It's ilscience.org. We also have our upcoming conference, October 18th and 19th, and that is in Peoria. We have 1- and 2-day options, and all of that information can also be found on our website. And then last, I want to mention that we have the NSTA National Conference coming to Chicago in 2021. Nicole and I are both on that conference committee. So if you're interested in helping in any sort of way, we will need volunteers for almost everything. I know it's kind of far away, but we actually started planning a couple months ago. So again, we're going to need volunteers to do all kinds of things, from stuff bags to help at registration to help chaperone field trips. Not so much chaperone, but be a guide for field trips. So if you're interested in any of those things, you can reach out to either one of us. I also wanted to mention that NSTA has some things coming up. One of those things is a secondary book study. It's a webinar series, and I will post that link in the chat box if you would like some more information on that. And then if it's okay with Jesse, Nicole is actually our NSTA District 12 director. She takes care of Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So I would like her to share some of the upcoming things that we have going on for NSTA, if that's okay with Jesse.
Yeah, of course. That'd be great.
So not only is ISTA accepting election applications, so is NSTA. So my role as district director is up in 2020. So all of you are in District 12, and we are seeking applications for District 12 director and also some of the other board members. So I will shoot that information up in the chat box shortly. And I think that's all I have for NSTA right now. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So unless there's any questions about that, we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to Ben Whitehouse, who's gonna share about his work with the SkyDay organization and the SkyDay Project.
Hi. Hey, everyone. So today I'm going to tell you about SkyDay, our organization, and the date on the calendar, which is coming up September the 20th, which is an interdisciplinary celebration of the sky and of climate. I'm going to tell you all about the kinds of activities we would like you to consider doing on SkyDay. And then in the second part, I'd like to talk to you about the exciting new module we are writing, standards aligned module that's called Wildlife, Weather, Climate and Change. And we're doing that in collaboration with the team that wrote an extraordinary and groundbreaking study at NC State that demonstrated some exciting things about teaching curriculum, climate curriculum that are very positive and very helpful. So why don't we just dive in? This is SkyDay. You can find us at skydayproject.com. We are a collaboration of artists and scientists and educators, family and friends and neighbors who are united by the desire to serve the next generation well when it comes to education about sky and climate. We're self-funded. We're not selling anything, so you won't, if you take part in any of our things or get in touch with us, you won't be badgered with emails trying to sell you t-shirts or mugs or something. And we are non-political. We are not aligned with any political group or party, not in the US and not anywhere in the world. So let me introduce you to our team, first of all. Nicole Stott is an absolutely extraordinary human being. She is a retired NASA astronaut. She has flown 2 tours of duty on the International Space Station. She is a member of the last crew to fly the shuttle. And she's also a NASA aquanaut. NASA has an extreme environment program called Nemo 9 that people don't seem to know a great deal about. And she holds the women's world's record for extreme environment survival deep, deep under the ocean in that project, 18 days, I believe. So Nicole has swum through our amazing planet from the depths of the oceans to the heights of outer space, and she's learned a great deal and has a great deal to share about the impact on her of those experiences. But as if that wasn't enough, she's also an artist. She in fact took her paints to the space station and she made the first ever painting off of planet Earth, of our beautiful planet, hanging outside the window of the space station. We don't know what the aliens have done. Maybe they've painted in space before, but we know for sure that she's the first human being ever to do so, and we are thrilled to have her on our team. Also on our team is somebody you may know, Dr. Don Webbles, who is a superstar atmospheric scientist, a professor at the University of Illinois. Don is also, and has also been serving for many, many years as lead author for the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Their report, as I'm sure you know, came out not so long ago, their most recent one. There are very few people who know as much as Don Webbles does about climate and atmosphere. In fact, the IPCC panel he was on in 2007 was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for its work. So we're extraordinarily lucky to have him on our team. Also on our team is Dr. Daniel Horton. Daniel leads the climate research group at Northwestern. Absolutely terrific scientist and educator. He cares a great deal, as we all do at SkyDay, about making sure our young people are fully informed about how climate functions and what its vulnerabilities are and why on earth they should care. So Dr. Horton has been a huge voice in the creation of SkyDay. I'm extremely grateful to him. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Anna Nesbitt. She is leading our curriculum writing team. Dr. Nesbitt is a colleague of Don Webbles at the University of Illinois, and she is helping write the module that I'll be telling you about later, called Wildlife, Weather, Climate, and Change, which we hope you will use in your classrooms. And we have other members of our team too, but I'd like to just mention Dr. Sam Illingworth. He is an expert in science communication at Manchester Metropolitan University in England, where I'm from. But Sam is also a very distinguished poet and performer, absolutely terrific to have him on our team. And I'm grateful that he's with us too. All right, so what is SkyDay? When is it? And what are you supposed to do? SkyDay is an interdisciplinary celebration of our sky that takes place annually on September the 20th this year. That's a Friday. But don't let the date worry you. We're discovering that schools and children's museums and planetariums and botanic gardens like to have Sky Days at any time of the year. But the cool thing about taking part in hosting a Sky Day on September the 20th or close to it is knowing that literally there are schools all around the world who are taking part at the same time. Now, there are a number of things one can do on Sky Day, and I'll be telling you about some of the activities we propose. All of them are educational and hopefully inspiring as well as informative about climate and sky. But perhaps the one that is most well known is the citizen artwork that we have created called SkyDay Project. SkyDay Project is a part of SkyDay. Whether you're doing other SkyDay activities for SkyDay, it's great to take part in SkyDay Project as well, because you can create your own sky gallery within the mosaic and share it with family and friends as a kind of beautiful memory of taking part. In this video, you can see people taking part at the Adler Planetarium, at the Chicago Botanic Garden. We also, thanks to Nicole, were able to install SkyDay Project on the International Space Station, which meant that astronauts were taking part from above the sky, as well as students taking part from beneath, and everybody meeting in the middle in a positive and inspiring conversation about what the sky means to all of us. So the idea is, as you and your students take photographs of the sky for SkyDay Project, is you talk about how amazing and dynamic this thing called a sky is, how beautiful it is, beautiful not only to look at, but in the way it supports all life, in the way it protects us from the harshness of space, beautiful in the way it isn't something just high above us, but all around us. It's in my art studio, it's in your classrooms, it's the air we breathe, it's the water we drink. And perhaps the most amazing thing about our sky is that by wrapping itself completely around the planet as it does, it connects us all as one global family, living and breathing under a shared sky. I don't think you can say that about any other natural resource. You can't say that about rainforest experience or ocean experience or mountain experience, but you can certainly say that about sky experience. All you have to do is look up or just breathe in. It's a great connector, our sky, a great common denominator. And of course, it's so important we realize that we're all connected to this thing called the sky, and it connects us all together as one family. Let me show you. What you're looking at right now is the global feed as people all over the world take photographs and upload them to this beautiful mosaic. It's interactive, which students, we understand, really, really love. SkyDay Project is for all ages, but students particularly, the feedback is enjoy taking advantage of it. So you can do a number of things with SkyDay Project. For example, you can change the number of images you see and have more of them. You can click on any one of these photographs and find out where it came in from. Well, that was from SkyDay Supporters, which is an airline pilots group that sends stuff in. Where did this one come? This one came in from the Lab School, University of Chicago. I'll be talking a little bit about them later. They did a really exciting thing with SkyDay Project. You can also have your own, as I said, your own sky gallery. All you've got to do is sign up on our website and ask for one. And when you do, you can join some of the many groups that have all taken part in SkyDay Project. This is a short list of some of them. The Adler Planetarium is one. Here's the Australian Meteorological and Oceanographic Society's gallery. Let me show you a beautiful one from a little school in Puerto Rico. These kiddos were posting their sky photos just hours before Hurricane Maria hit not so long ago. They knew that they would be running out of electricity very quickly, which of course they did, and they created this beautiful gallery of for SkyDay Project, which we love having. Going back to all of them, you can also change the skies that you want, and I've just chosen transition skies, so these are evening and morning skies. And floating around SkyDay Project are little icons in which there is educational material that we created in collaboration with Daniel Horton's students in the Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Northwestern. Let me see if I can find one for you. Okay, so I click on that icon. Here is a science explainer explaining why sunrises and sunsets look the way they do. And in there also are sky videos, more suitable perhaps for middle school students, that talk about different things that are interesting about the sky. This one is about contrails. How do planes make clouds, kind of thing. So that's SkyDay Project. Let's talk about some of the activities you can do in addition to taking part in SkyDay Project. The idea is that you take a day, a period, to work with your class and explore some aspect of our relationship to the sky and to climate that is interesting. One thing you might consider doing is helping a local species that's struggling with climate hazards. You can contact your local US Fish and Wildlife Service or your Nature Conservancy and ask them whether they're helping the rusty-patched bumblebee, or they're helping bats, or they're helping migrating birds whose habitats are being damaged by climate hazards. And we are helping to grow in Illinois a number of these offerings. And in fact, as you'll know when I talk to you about our module, that's going to be a very important part, is an outdoor service project to help local species that are dealing with climate hazards. We're calling artists to have experiences and work with schools to create inspiring artistic activities that you can do about climate and our relationship to the sky. This is a wonderful thing to do. Have a conversation in your class about how it is we know for sure that it's us that's warming the world and not something else. And there's this wonderful graph that was published in Bloomberg Business Week. I don't know if you've seen it. It collected the data from NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. And one can play with this terrific graph and map over climate temperatures, things like changes in the Earth's orbit, which we know is a climate forcing agent, but as you can see, has not been participating much. You can talk about the sun, what's been going on with the sun. We know that over the history, the millennia of this planet of ours, that changes in the sun have caused changes in climate. But as you can see, since 1880, as we've seen this dramatic rise in global temperatures, the sun has remained pretty consistent. Is it volcanoes? Super volcanic eruptions have, over the history of this planet of ours, deeply impacted climate. But as you can see from the data collected by the Goddard Space Institute, from satellites and so on, volcanic activity is not, has been pretty consistent. What other natural causes? This is an interesting one where they combine all three of them so that you can see what the impact natural factors might have been having on global temperatures. And so if it's not nature, could it be our behavior? Could it be deforestation? And as you can see from this graph, land use has actually lessened in terms of its impact on global temperatures. Is it ozone? Well, as you may know, ozone has remained pretty static. Is it aerosol pollution? Well, we've made dramatic improvements with new laws, you will remember, to reduce aerosol pollutants. So if it's not those things, what is it? And this dramatically shows how closely increases in our greenhouse gas emissions align with observed climate changes, temperature changes on our planet. I suggest that this would be a great thing for your students to play with and then discuss as a class. What do they see? What questions do they have? And did something surprise them? Other activities we propose that you might try for SkyDay is ask your students a few days before to interview their family friends about climate. Ask them what they've heard. Are they worried about it? What do they think about it? And then the students can share what they discovered talking to family and friends with each other in class, maybe even blog about it together. Our suggestion is that everyone be respectful and be a good listener and consider sharing what they have learned with others. And we ask the question, did this surprise you in some way? Did you learn something that you didn't expect? We have musicians writing music about climate and sky, and we suggest perhaps you hold a sky concert. And here are some friends of mine, Jim and the Povolos, who've written a terrific song called CO2. That could be a good way to celebrate, to listen to some music about it. You could, of course, calculate your carbon footprint and offset your impact on the environment. There are great calculators online. Ask your students to spend a period really thinking about their behaviors and which, maybe they'll be surprised as which of them create a lot of carbon. Host a sky show. Ask your students to make a painting of the sky, and perhaps they could sell it to raise money for your local nature conservancy that are helping species in your neighborhood deal with climate hazards. This is an idea of that wonderful school, University of Chicago Lab School. I told you I'd be mentioning them, and I showed you the gallery of the students in Puerto Rico who were posting to SkyDay Project. What we learned from the teachers at University of Chicago Lab School is that their students were really intrigued by the photographs being sent in from those children in Puerto Rico and looked at them closely and wondered what it must have felt like to stand in their shoes looking at the sky just before the hurricane hit. So they asked their teachers if they could do something to help, and the students suggested, why don't we make make paintings of the photographs those students sent in to SkyDay Project exhibit them, and then sell them to family and friends to raise some money for that school, to which we say, bravo, what a terrific idea. Planting a tree is more important than people think. It turns out that some trees can remove as much as 48 pounds of carbon dioxide from the air each year. Plant two. This was suggested by a high school science teacher called John. He liked the idea of asking his science students to go online and look for art that deals in some way with nature or conservation or climate, and then give a 3-minute presentation in class with a slide of the work, just talking about their reaction to it. Our suggestion is no rules, just lots of appreciation for whatever they have to say. We have suggestions that people can switch to a more climate-friendly diet and think about that. Here's a wonderful video created for us by the Adler Planetarium to teach young people how to take photographs of the night sky using a DSLR camera. It's a short video. It turns out to be really easy to do. Something to try. And then here is Write a Skyku. Sam Illingworth, our poet and climate and science communication specialist, came up with Skyku, which of course riffs off of haiku, in which we invite young people to think through the form of a skyku about their relationship to the sky. What does it mean to them? How do they see it? How do they view it? What are their thoughts when they think about the sky that connects us all? And if nothing else, just taking a sky walk with your kids. Just take a walk and look at it. Talk about how beautiful our sky is. Talk about what an extraordinary natural resource it is. Talk about how important our relationship to it is. And then let them share with each other what they think. So that's SkyDay. And we would love to encourage all of you to make SkyDay an annual experience at your school. It is so, so important to connect our young people to this extraordinary resource in a personal way. They need to look up, they need to observe, they need to do science, they need to do art. They need to realize that this natural resource upon which we so depend and which we are damaging so poorly, it's really important that they realize that they live in it, that they're connected to it, that everything we do impacts it, so we must think about our behaviors, and that it connects us all. So it is a truly global problem that can only be solved by the next generation working together as one family across cultures and borders with a common problem to solve. That was a lot, wasn't it? Thank you for listening. I can't hear you guys at the moment, so I hope you're still doing okay.
Yeah, no, that was great, Ben. That was a lot of information, a lot of really good stuff.
And before we move on to the really exciting module we are writing, that we would love you to know about and to incorporate in your programs in the next year or so, I wonder if you have any questions about that, any of that.
Jesse and I had a little private chat going on while you were talking about how a lot of these pictures could be used as phenomena in our classrooms as we're implementing phenomena-driven instruction.
Right on.
Hopefully statewide. Yeah. So these would be, this could be a great opportunity for our students to kick off a unit or a lesson.
Yeah, just seeing the variety of different photographs of the sky, like so many questions just from that, I think is a really great opportunity. And the fact that they come from all over the world. And off the earth too is pretty spectacular.
One thing you can consider doing is ask your students to pair up and take one of those photographs and just notice quietly on their own. What do they see? What do they observe? Does anything surprise them? Do they have any questions about what they're seeing in there? And then maybe they can talk together about what each other has noticed and what they've thought. And then maybe they can, for 1 minute, present their photograph and just tell each other what they've seen, what they've observed, what they've noticed.
Yeah, I saw that Nicole added in the chat too, bringing in that cross-cutting concept of patterns. Is what patterns do you see? Asking students what patterns do you see in all of these different images.
Right.
It's a great idea.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we have been learning a lot about next generation science standards, and we think it's absolutely brilliant. And as you'll see, our module will fit those needs, those very important needs.
I think that might be what our teachers are the most excited to hear about. So I'm really excited to hear about it too.
Sure. Fun.
I'm excited to see a bunch of kids looking up at the sky on September 20. I can just imagine going from school to school and everybody staring at the sky taking pictures. Is a fun thought.
Yeah, it's very cool. I can share with you a list of some of the organizations that are taking part. It's really, really cool. All right, so why do we want to give you free and high quality climate curriculum that's rigorous? Because our children need our help. They are, as you know, frightened, particularly by adult inaction, and all over the world, not just here in the United States. They're having climate strikes, leaving school to march in an effort to wake us all up worldwide about climate change and environmentalism. And to my mind, they're also critiquing our education system. They're saying, in effect, better to leave school and go out and engage this. That if what our systems, all of them over the world, is creating is a climate crisis, then that's not okay. And I am totally sympathetic and totally understand of that. But to my mind, what's needed is to get back into school and to learn how climate functions and what its vulnerabilities are and why you should care. So that by the time you leave school, you're prepared, and before you become politicized, you're prepared to be the fully informed citizen of tomorrow and capable of navigating all the social and political processes. I can't think of a more important mission for us at SkyDay. But we also know that it isn't easy talking about climate. That's not an easy conversation to have. How do you strike the right tone? How do you strike the right emotion? How do you make it inspiring and not just alarming? We also know that teachers seek quality climate science and lessons online, and what they're finding is actually junk. In fact, a lot of it is propaganda. So we want to become your trustworthy go-to platform for high quality, rigorous climate science. We also know that a lot of teachers are not teaching it. And a recent NPR Ipsos poll demonstrated that 4 out of 5 parents wish that teachers would teach it. So for all of these reasons, we want to help. A couple months ago, early in the summer, a terrific team at North Carolina State published a study in Nature Climate Change that demonstrated that a rigorous climate module for middle schoolers that was more complex than hitherto thought good for middle schoolers, that combined outdoor service projects as part of the module to help with local species dealing with climate hazards, to which the parents were invited to take part, combined with a student interviewing parent piece, in which they talk to their parents about weather and climate without using the phrase climate change. They demonstrated that parents in the treatment group expressed much higher levels of climate concern as a result of their children taking part in this course. So not only were the young people helped to understand what's going on with climate, what its causes are, and why they should care, but their parents, even parents, and this is significant, traditionally opposed to the whole question, showed a significant uptick in their climate concern through intergenerational learning. And the authors of this study are now partnering with us to create the first of our modules. We will, over the next 10, 20 years, provide you guys with K through 12 climate science modules. All of them will be rigorous and all of them will be standards aligned. But we will also try to include these outdoor service project elements, parent interview elements, and perhaps some art elements to integrate those into the curriculum to make it more personal, more memorable, and more valuable. I'm going to describe the module that we are putting finishing touches on. The module used in the study was North Carolina centric, so it talked all about species in North Carolina. Dr. Nesbitt is reworking the module so that we will be talking about Illinois species. And we are now talking to organizations like the Field Museum, the Shed Aquarium, the Illinois Nature Conservancy to create, if they don't already exist, or identify outdoor service projects that will be within a reasonable distance of your schools that your students can do in September or April, May, which of the months we suggest are good ones for doing this module, to make sure that they have a meaningful project that they can do in which they hands-on try to help with a local species struggling with a climate hazard. So in lesson 1, students collect and graph local weather data and they overlay it with 30-year average temperatures for that location, and then they play a game to understand the difference between weather and climate and the impacts on local wildlife species. This is the one that we're doing the most work with because we want to integrate local species. And as you can see, there will be, the lesson objectives will be clear and they will be standards aligned. Adapting to climate change is the second lesson. And the objectives will be to identify both natural and human caused reasons for a changing climate, and identify the key impacts of climate change is having on wildlife around your area, and identify 3 ways in which wildlife managers are planning for climate change, and identify potential impacts on local species, and create an action plan for helping protect those species. I will provide slides of the different lessons to you guys by email, if that's okay, to Janine, and could you pass them on?
Yes,
or insert them into this thing. We have not published the curriculum yet.
Right, it's not live yet.
We are working the module that was used in this study in collaboration with the authors of the study. I will be presenting it, Kristin, to the ISTA conference in Peoria. I'm really excited about that. We'll be ready by then to tell everybody about it. It will, of course, be free. We will make to all schools, we want as many this is directed at middle schools, our first module, as I hope I mentioned. We would like as many of them to take part as possible. And we are particularly interested in the next few months in finding science teachers who would like to be the first to do this curriculum. So the idea is that it will be probably available first for April and May of next year. And we will have outdoor service projects available in your area that you can use. We should hopefully have in a menu of possible projects you can do. We're making 2 versions of the module, I should mention, one for urban schools and one for rural schools, because the experiences of species around you will be different. We'd love you to share what's coming with teachers, and we would love teachers to get in touch with us and say, hey, I know you're not ready to do it yet, but please think of me as somebody to send it. When it's done, it will be we'll be rolling it out in October at ISTA conference.
All right. Questions?
One question that was posed to me was, with the gallery,
Yeah,
they can request a gallery at any time, correct?
absolutely.
Okay.
Have a SkyDay, whatever suits you. On our website that we have a toolkit for middle school aged children to take part in SkyDay Project. We have one for elementary school children. We've got some curriculum pieces that have been given to us by teachers around the country that you can do. And we also have a video of me talking about the project and explaining what to do and why. So SkyDay for younger students. Here, I hope you can see my cursor moving, are the toolkits. So for those who have younger students, you can show this video.
Hi, my name's Ben Whitehouse. I'm an artist and director of SkyDay Project, where we know the sky is not only beautiful to look at, but beautiful in the way it supports all life on Earth and protects us from the harshness of space. Yes, our sky really is beautiful. It has to be one of the greatest shows on Earth. Have you ever looked at it? Really closely, I mean? Whoa, that's close.
Hosting SkyDay Project couldn't be easier. You just go to SkyDay Project. If you've already got a group, a sky gallery of your own, you'll find it in the drop-down menu and you'll just choose it. You will tell us that you're in the US, you're not in space, although you can be in space if you like. You can tap this to select your images. You'll find your images. You can scoop them all up and maybe do 20 at a time. There's only one rule about taking part in SkyDay Project. You will notice that it is beautifully family friendly. We have incredible filters on the back end, 5,000 of them, to make sure that the only photos that get posted to SkyDay Project are sky only. And your role as a leader of your photography students, citizen artists actually, who are raising their hand and saying, I care, I'm connected to the sky, count me in as somebody who's going to do my best to reduce my carbon footprint. That's what each photograph posted to SkyDay Project means. And then you can remind them to make sure it's sky only. So if they got Uncle Fred in there, they just have to crop it, or a dog, you know. And then it has to be JPEGs. JPEG is the normal format for taking your own photographs. Things like screenshots or PNGs, those will not get in because we don't want people submitting other people's photographs, pretending it was theirs, blah, 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 blah. So it has to be JPEGs, but we only have those two golden rules, all sky and JPEG, just like when you photograph from any of your devices.
Any last questions for Ben before we wrap up? I think we're all kind of anxiously anticipating and awaiting the curriculum that you guys are going to roll out. So,
and I think a lot of us are wanting to dive into some of the articles and videos that were embedded on the first screen that you shared. Yeah, I'm excited.
They're a great point of departure for you to do your NGSS thing, we hope. So let me just say how grateful I am for the chance to talk to you all. Thank you so much for your time. You can find us at skydayproject.com. You could write to me, ben@skydayproject.com, if you have any questions. We're here to serve your students and serve your schools. And for sure, if you think of a SkyDay activity that you think would be so cool and you'd like to share it with the world's kids and their schools, please let us know. We will pop it into the activity page and grow a menu of possibilities.
Lovely.
So thanks.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben.
Just as a quick reminder, I put a link to the pre and post survey. So now that we're after the session, if you the first question is, are you taking the pre or the post? You just select post, and then it'll take you through those same 4 questions that we answered at the beginning, and a few really brief reflection questions for us so that we can measure our impact. And this is really important for us so that we can continue to offer these virtual events and getting teachers from across the state together to share and discuss and celebrate some of the great things that are going on in Illinois.